Wait, there is no way America is becoming even stronger. Okay, my friends, we're going to this. US Navy reveals unmanned future ships at sea. Look, real talk, America is already so damn strong, my friends. It's by far the number one. But I guess we go to another level. Okay, my friends, before I go into that, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much. Is the best way to show support. Now, if you can subscribe, well, in that case, forget about it. You make my day. Have that in consideration. Link for the original video in my description. And by the way, what the hell is that thing on my screen? Is that a boat? Is that a submarine? Let's play it.
The U.S. Navy recently revealed some future unmanned maritime technology that has the potential to completely revolutionize warfare out in the ocean.
Okay, my friends, I don't know a lot about military stuff, but I tend to rate things by design, and this one looks really cool.
Discover the future of maritime warfare with the latest revelations from the U.S. Navy. Behind the scenes of the world's most powerful naval force are advanced technologies that had remained hidden until now.
Ooh, secret stuff.
As most of you are aware by now, the field of technology has been witnessing remarkable progress in recent years, pushing the boundaries beyond what was once deemed possible. Our U.S. Navy...
Look, a lot of this really looks like Star Wars or Star Trek at this point. There is lasers nowadays. It's kind of crazy. Look, my friends, you know what people tend to say that is impressive to be number one? Of course it is, but is even more impressive to stay at number one for years and years. And America is doing exactly that. You need to be proud of the American military. This is incredible.
Navy has successfully utilized its littoral combat ships, or LCS.
Because, look, real talk, for example, China, Russia, specific China nowadays, they look at one of those boats, at one of those planes, and they think, okay, we can copy that. But all of a sudden, America goes, got you. This was developed 20 years ago. We have new stuff now. They are always chasing the impossible.
Our U.S. Navy has successfully utilized its littoral combat ships, or LCSs, as bases and command centers for some of their well-known unmanned systems, such as unmanned surface vessels, or USVs, unmanned underwater vehicles, UUVs, and unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, among others.
Look, real talk, I will try to not pause too much, but I know this is future. This is the future, unmanned stuff, and we are even seeing that in the Ukraine versus Russia war, right? That is basically the future, and I think America is probably doing such great developments here.
By leveraging the LCS as a hub for unmanned systems, the U.S. Navy has achieved greater situational awareness, improved intelligence gathering, and enhanced mission flexibility. Another significant achievement is made by the AUKUS partners in creating control systems for drones.
UK and Australia,
the collaboration among the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia seeks to develop a unified control system for UAVs that can be seamlessly integrated with naval operations. This control system...
So UK, when it comes to the Navy, is quite strong. I mean, not America strong, but quite strong. Even Australia, I believe, is super strong.
Aims to enhance the coordination and interoperability of UAVs across the three partner nations, allowing for joint missions and information sharing. Another noteworthy advancement came with an initiative called the Surface Development Squadron, which was established within the U.S. Navy to further integrate unmanned systems with LCS. The Surface Development Squadron focuses on developing and testing new concepts, tactics, and technologies related to the unmanned systems and their integration into the LCS fleet. Speaking of which, did you know that the U.S. Navy actually has a super long history of developing certain unmanned systems?
Oh yeah.
Back in the 1900s...
And look, my friends, I guess the title says it all, but things are looking more futuristic every day. You look, for example, at the B-2 bomber, that stuff is completely out of a sci-fi type of movie. You know, it's really crazy to look at such crazy planes.
Both the Navy and Army collaborated on creating aerial torpedoes. However, due to limitations...
Wait, what? Sorry. We may have to... I'm talking too much.
Developing certain unmanned systems, Back in the 1900s, both the Navy and Army collaborated on creating aerial torpedoes. However, due to limitations at the time, this endeavor proved to be too ambitious, and it was eventually abandoned. In the early years, there were attempts to introduce unmanned systems into the Navy and Marine Corps, but they achieved only limited success once again. The beginning of this century sparked some improvements in technology that allowed the US Navy to at least reach a stage where controlling unmanned systems became feasible. Naturally, the US Navy recognized this progress and saw an opportunity to incorporate these systems across all domains, air, surface, and subsurface, to cater to various operational requirements. What's interesting is that there are current plans for the coming years to fully deploy a fleet of functional unmanned surface ships. The fleet will be called the Ghost Fleet, a name that certainly suits the eerie nature of these vessels.
The name.
Multi-million-dollar contract. So what's all the commotion about? What is this technology that the US Navy just revealed?
Wait, are those solar panels?
Well, it might not be what you expected. First, some specific context on where the Navy's unmanned efforts currently stand. For over a decade, they've been testing uncrewed surface vessels like the Wave Glider and the early Mark I modular unmanned surface vessel. More recently, we've seen demonstrators for large USVs like
Wait, is that the PlayStation that is controlling?
Surface vessel.
That was a joystick, right, of a
More
PlayStation
recently,
2 or
we've
something.
seen demonstrators for large USVs
Okay, maybe not PlayStation 2, I'm a bit old, but...
like the sleek
4 or 5, I
132-foot
don't know.
Defiant. However, the level of autonomy in these platforms has so far been limited. Then, on December 8, 2023, news broke that a company won a ginormous contract with the US Navy to assist them in developing some of the most advanced unmanned maritime systems ever seen before. As stated earlier, the US Navy has only gotten as far as testing how to efficiently and effectively control unmanned systems. But with this multi-million-dollar contract, things are about to not only get hyper-advanced, but also ultra-efficient. Let's dive deep into what all the fuss is about. The company that won this huge contract is called Serco, a lead
Serco. Ooh, actually, I don't know that one. Actually, I recognize a lot of other companies that produce military stuff, since I react a lot to this type of videos. And another thing, my friends. So I believe maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but at least in the next 4 years, let's say, America will hit 1 trillion, right, when it comes to the US military base. Is this true?
leading provider of professional and technological services. Under the terms of the contract, estimated at a whopping $68 million over 3 years, Serco will support the Naval Surface Warfare Center Carderock Division in its efforts to design, test, and integrate autonomous control systems for unmanned surface vessels. What does this mean, and why is it such a big deal? As discussed earlier, for years now, militaries around the world have been experimenting with unmanned systems like drones to enhance capabilities and force protection.
And by the way, we saw all the damage that Ukraine did to Russian bombers recently with drones inside of Russia, my friends. So that's the thing that scares me in a sense, that if Ukraine was capable to do that, can you imagine what America is capable? You know, it's actually crazy to think about.
The US Navy has been no exception, as we know. They've tested unmanned aircraft, surface vessels, and undersea vehicles for applications like intelligence gathering, mine detection, and logistics transport. However, these early systems had major limitations. They required constant human control and supervision, defeating the purpose of autonomous technology. That's exactly where this new contract comes in. The US Navy aims to advance well past basic remote control with its next generation of unmanned systems. They want vessels capable of fully autonomous operation, making complex decisions on their own without direct oversight.
So this will be AI 100%, right?
Applications could include defending ports and harbors, gathering intel in contested areas, or even conducting offensive missions if equipped with the right payloads. But the thing is, achieving this level of autonomy poses significant technological challenges.
Like what?
Serco comes in to save the day here. Under the terms of the multi-million-dollar deal, they'll provide crucial support in developing the sophisticated command and control systems needed to make unmanned naval autonomy a reality. This includes integrating complex sensor suites, automation software, and path planning algorithms into vessels like the Defiant-class Modular Unmanned Surface Vehicle, or MUSV. Serco engineers will essentially help design and configure these computer systems and aid in rigorous testing to prove they can perform as intended. In addition, the company will assist the U.S. Navy in evaluating how these new autonomous ship technologies can best integrate into ongoing operations. There are questions about how remote human operators can monitor multiple vessels at once, how to share data between manned and unmanned platforms, and importantly, how to ensure systems function safely and according to international maritime law, even without direct oversight. Serco's expertise in aiding previous Navy programs makes them uniquely positioned to help solve these challenges. If all goes according to plan over the next 3 years, this huge contract will enable a big leap forward for naval autonomy. The U.S. Navy will inevitably gain powerful unmanned assets that expand its reach while protecting valuable crews from danger, ultimately making the force so much powerful than it already is. Now here's a quick question for you all.
See what I was saying, my friends. Being number one is impressive, but staying number one and always improving yourself, that's mind blown at this point.
Answer in the comments. Do you think such a big contract will be worth it? Will this collaboration bring about significant improvement in the U.S. Navy's unmanned maritime technology? Let us know.
I think so, right?
While you're at it, we invite you to join our
My friends, do it for me. And the other thing is, I know that the US government is putting a lot of money into AI right now. The ChatGPT company, OpenAI, but there is a bunch of them, from what I understand. Even a company like NVIDIA being so important for that. But we also know that a lot of those companies, they have models that we have no idea how strong they are. ChatGPT right now is already so damn impressive, but if I had to guess, and I guess there is some leaks, some information about this, they have 2 or 3 models ahead, you know. So maybe the US military can have access to those models, you know, and use that technology or those new unmanned drones type of ships, you know, planes, etc.
channel as a member, which will not only help us continue producing these fantastic videos about the US Navy, but also serve as a tribute to all the veterans who tune into our videos. Head on over to the link in the description or simply visit our channel page and select Join. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Why unmanned? But this entire topic,
I guess this question is obvious, right? Because that way you don't lose people if things go wrong.
raises a very important question.
And I would say another thing, with technology becoming so incredible, with AI becoming so incredible, there will be a point that, maybe that point is already no, actually, that those vehicles, let's say, they will make less mistakes than a human, you know, so it's more efficient.
Why unmanned? Is it really necessary to aim for a completely crewless and autonomous method of operating out in the ocean? After all, naval operations have been carried out safely and efficiently for centuries using manned vessels. So what's the driving motivation behind developments like this Serco contract?
It's the future.
There are a few key factors fueling the push for maritime autonomy. First and foremost is force protection, removing the human element from harm's way whenever possible. Unmanned systems allow for conducting hazardous operations like mine countermeasures, surveillance of enemy waters, or weapons testing without subjecting sailors to the risk or injury or loss of life.
Okay, my friends, what you gonna do when they come for you? My friends, okay, that's crazy. Look, just one more thing. I recently have been reacting a bit more to military stuff. Sometimes the YouTube algorithm does not like that, specifically because there is always weapons and stuff that tend to show up, and you guys know how YouTube goes with that. That said, if you guys can subscribe, leave a like, that would help this type of videos a lot. And for you, it's so easy, it's free, so consider to do it if you have fun watching this type of stuff. Because, like I said, it's not the content that my channel benefits the most, but I love to do it.
Even routine peacetime tasks like monitoring for pollution or illegal activity can be made safer through robots. Another major incentive is operational efficiency. Automated ships require smaller or no crews, greatly reducing life cycle costs compared to manned vessels which must support all the logistics needed to sustain humans at sea for lengthy periods.
Good point.
Unmanned assets also enable always-on, persistent missions without risk of fatigue, and can execute coordinated actions much faster than human timelines allow. There are also tactical advantages to consider. Autonomous systems give combatant commanders more disposable resources they can deploy as needed without the same restrictions that apply to protecting human lives. Unmanned technologies also open up unconventional capabilities impossible for manned platforms. Imagine...
No, yeah, even you can take more risks, since there is no human life there. Look, ignoring this type of technology is like you are trying to stop the future. Imagine you are trying to stop the wind with your hands. It's impossible, America is doing this very smart. Just try it right now. A lot of mistakes will be made, but this is the future. The other countries, sooner or later, will follow.
Networked swarms of intelligent sea drones providing overwhelming surveillance of a much larger area. Finally, pursuing unmanned technology drives innovation that benefits all naval applications, not just autonomous missions. Advancements in machine autonomy, vessel miniaturization, power systems, and sensors will filter into both crewed and uncrewed systems. The U.S. Navy aims to lead this global revolution and ensure America maintains a decisive edge. The thing is, as the pace of technological change accelerates, maintaining dominance at sea depends increasingly on who leads in frontier fields like autonomy, artificial intelligence, precise munitions, and cyber warfare. The U.S. Navy recognizes this and makes massive investments accordingly. Nowhere is this more evident than with unmanned systems.
So I saw when Trump got elected that there was some press conference that he ended up having there a lot of companies like OpenAI, and he said that America will create a fund, no, this is not a fund. What's the word? Basically, putting a lot of money aside to invest into those companies to make those companies to grow. And I believe maybe trillions is too much, but I know it's on the billions. Look, not trying to go into politics because at the end of the day, I don't know that much. But I thought that was a good move by the government.
While other navies experiment cautiously, America commits wholeheartedly, aiming to not just keep up, but to set the standards others chase. For instance, adversaries like China dabble with small switch drones or remotely piloted patrol boats. Meanwhile, the U.S. Navy's vision encompasses a full-scale transformation. They work relentlessly, innovating through ambitious trailblazer programs. Whether pushing...
China is trying, but they still have a long road. America is ahead. Not close, as some people may think.
Large Independence-class USVs to their limits, or proving miniature intelligent mines, each test identifies new ceilings, not just for robotic abilities, but also for how humans and robots team up. Clearly, the U.S. Navy supports this evolution lavishly. Under Serco's contract, naval centers receive $68 million immediately, with likely much more forthcoming. Compare that to some nations spending less than $5 million on autonomy overall. Nor does commitment stop at funding, by the way. The U.S. Navy cultivates cutting-edge technical talent through initiatives like its Startup Accelerator. It also actively scouts foreign innovations that could boost capabilities, often improving designs through its massive in-house research. Most vitally, the U.S. Navy understands that no domain, robotics included, progresses in a bubble. It focuses spans undersea, surface, air, space, and cyber dimensions seamlessly.
And another thing will be a lot of this technology will become technology that we all have access eventually. In the sense that, so I believe in America you guys already have robot taxis, robot Ubers, right? But imagine, of course, this technology will be even more perfect here. for logic reasons, since we are talking about military stuff. And eventually, the military will release that into the public, and all of a sudden, maybe you have trucks that drive itself that are really good. Again, sometimes people cannot see the bigger picture, but think about GPS, think about even internet. A lot of that stuff started with the military, you know.
Technologies cascade across all, force multiplying each. By the end of it, on one hand, the tactical and operational advantages seem undeniable. But doing so also represents an unprecedented paradigm change, removing humans from life or death decisions on the front lines. There are also societal considerations around jobs being transformed. This brings us to a final question for all the viewers. What are your thoughts on building entire fleets of next-generation uncrewed systems controlled through AI?
Like I said, it's trying to stop the wind with your hands. It's impossible. America is doing this right. This is the future.
How might that reshape modern navies, and how should policies ensure oversight of highly autonomous weapons? Won't things have a big chance of going wrong? Let us know in the comments below.
I mean, that's a fair point. Of course, things will go wrong. If you are innovating in terms of technology, that's why I was saying it's impressive to be number one, because you are the one setting the standard, setting the record, you know. Of course, China and Russia, they copy, and they already see the mistakes America made, and okay, we do this way, it will be better. But of course, there will be mistakes, but they are worth it. At least I believe that.
As we wrap up this exploration of maritime technology cooking at the
You
US
guys agree, my
Navy,
friends?
it is evident that we have entered the era of unmanned systems.
Oh, yeah.
If you enjoyed this video, we kindly ask you to show your support by giving it a like and subscribing to our channel. Your support means a lot to us and motivates us to continue creating entertaining and educational content on the US Navy and other maritime.
Okay, my friends, show him all the support, but what the hell is this title? 13 million drug ship intercepted by US destroyer? Then this happened? Okay, my friends, this video is 17 minutes. Leave me the number 17 if I should take a look at this one. This seems an amazing video. What destroyer. Okay, my friends, that said is everything for today, but I want to watch that. Leave me the number 17. That's it. Is everything for today. Thank you so much for watching this with me. See you guys in the next one. Bye, my friends.